Hi again. This is once again a continuation of my many previous posts on the epidemic of autoimmune diseases. If you missed any of the previous posts, please go back and check them all out. It won't take you too long because they all kind of string together, and this is curing autoimmune disease is kind of a complicated process, so that's why it's taken me so many of these posts. Also, go ahead and email me or send me your email so that when I finish this paper that I'm writing and finally get it published on how to prevent and cure autoimmune diseases, I'll be happy to send you a complimentary copy of that. So today's topic is Th1 suppression. Th1 suppression, and I pretty much promise you that you have not heard about this, and probably the likelihood is pretty good that your doctor hasn't heard about this at all either, even though we've known about this for decades. So this is incredibly important when it comes to autoimmune diseases. So hang tight on this. I'm going to actually do this in 2 posts because it's kind of long. So here we go. So here's how it works. Your immune system has 2 components to it. It's called a Th1 component and a Th2 component. And so that's what we're going to talk about, is the relationship between those 2 different components in the immune system. So here's how it works. When we are exposed to a small amount of an infectious agent, so let's say we're around somebody with the flu, for example, or we're a small amount of a parasite, or a small amount of a petrochemical, a small amount of a food additive, or an allergen, or mold, or any other environmental toxin, our Th1 system, that's the part of the immune system. The T, by the way, stands for thymic. The H stands for helper. So these are cells called helper cells that come from the thymus gland. And you have helper cell 1 and helper cell 2. So when you're exposed to small exposures of what we call an antigen, that would be an infectious agent or mold or some of those things I just mentioned, your Th1 system is called into action. Now your Th1 system is that part of the immune system that will gobble up and get rid of those toxins without you ever knowing it. You won't get symptomatic. You won't even know you were exposed to the toxin. If so you've been around somebody with the flu and you know you were exposed to the virus and yet you never got sick from it, that's because your Th1 system was up and operative and it gobbled that exposure up. And that's why you never got sick. So you want to have a good operative Th1 system. That's your first line of defense in the immune system. But here's the thing. The Th2 system is a backup system for the Th1. If for some reason you get exposed to a large exposure of a germ or a large exposure of mold or petrochemicals, something your Th1 system just can't handle all by itself, then the Th2 system is called into action. Now here's the deal. The Th2 system makes what we call antibodies. Th1 system doesn't make antibodies. It's different. Th2 system makes antibodies, and it's these antibodies that can be your emergency backup system, but unfortunately, it's also those antibodies that can cause autoimmune diseases. So ideally, in a perfect world, which doesn't exist, but ideally, you want to have a Th1 system that's doing the work all the time, and ideally never calling into action the Th2 system, because here's the problem. These systems suppress each other. That's right. So when the Th1 system is called into action, it makes certain cytokines that in turn suppress the Th2 system. It's kind of like the Th1 system says, hey, Th2, don't worry about this. I got this. I'm going to take care of this exposure here. We don't want your nasty old antibodies floating around. So the Th1 system is literally going to suppress the Th2 system from producing antibodies. But it works the other way around too. When the Th2 system is called into action, it literally suppresses the Th1 system. And that's where we get into problems. Because when that Th1 system is suppressed, it can no longer control the Th2 system. And you're going to get a lot of antibodies. So if you see your doctor and he starts doing antibody tests on you and he says, you know what, you got an awful lot of antibodies to this or that or whatever. So you got antibodies to mold, you got antibodies to pollens, you got antibodies to your dog, you got antibodies to viruses or whatever. You got all these antibodies. If he tells you that, you got to wonder if your Th2 system isn't sort of taking over everything and suppressing your Th1. And the problem with that is, and I'm going to get more into this with my next post, but the problem with that is, as the Th2 system becomes the dominant system, making all these antibodies, guess what? You are absolutely set up to get an autoimmune disease. All autoimmune diseases are associated with an excess of antibodies. In fact, that's how you diagnose an autoimmune disease, is by looking at the various antibodies that Th2 system is making. So I'll tease you a little bit for the next post, but the next post is going to talk a little bit about if you're in that position, you got an autoimmune disease, you can automatically know you got a Th2 overworking system. You need to calm that down and upregulate your Th1. And that's what we're going to talk about next time.